Why people begin to dislike you after 65. Have you ever felt like people treat you differently as you get older? You might have noticed that some friends start to drift away. Family members become less patient, or even strangers seem less friendly than they used to be. It can be frustrating, even painful, to feel like you're being pushed aside, especially when you know deep down that you still have so much to offer. But what if I told you that this change in how others treat you isn't just about them? It could be about you too. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 common reasons why people may begin resenting you after 65. These are often subtle habits, behaviors, or attitudes that slowly create emotional distance between you and the people you care about. The good news? Once you recognize these patterns, you can make small but powerful changes to improve your relationships and continue to be someone others truly want to be around. Stick with me until the end, because understanding these 6 reasons could completely shift how others see you, how they interact with you, and how much love and respect you continue to receive as you grow older. It's not about changing who you are. It's about making sure that the best version of you is the one person remember. Now let's begin. Number 1, becoming too negative about everything. One of the quickest ways to unintentionally drive people away is by being constantly negative. Life isn't always fair, and by the time you're in your mid-60s, you've likely faced your share of challenges. Health issues, financial pressure, family disappointments, and more. It's all valid, and your experiences absolutely matter. But when nearly every conversation becomes centered on complaints, people begin to tune out. Negativity doesn't just weigh you down. It affects everyone around you. If every visit with your children turns into a rant about how terrible the world is, or every chat with a friend becomes about how things used to be better, people start associating your presence with stress instead of warmth. It's not that your feelings don't matter, they do. But constantly focusing on what's wrong can be emotionally draining for others, and over time, they may begin avoiding interactions altogether. Ask yourself, do you enjoy spending time with someone who only talks about how bad everything is? Probably not, and others feel the same. So what can you do instead? Pay attention to your words. If you notice you're leading with complaints, pause and ask yourself, is this the tone I want to set? Try shifting your focus to something more neutral or even uplifting. A funny story, an interesting fact, or even a small compliment can go a long way in making conversations more enjoyable. Bottom line, people don't avoid you because they don't care. They avoid you because they don't want to feel worse after talking to you. A little self-awareness can go a long way in making your presence one that people look forward to. Number 2, giving unwanted advice or criticism. As you get older, you naturally gain experience and wisdom. You've seen life's patterns, made mistakes, and learned valuable lessons. It's normal to want to share that with others, especially those you love, to help them avoid pain or hardship. But here's the tricky part. If the advice isn't asked for, it can come off as judgmental rather than helpful. This is especially true with younger family members. You might watch your children or grandchildren make choices you think are obviously wrong. How they spend money, raise their kids, or live their lives. And when you step in to correct them, even with love, they often hear it as criticism, not concern. This also happens in friendships. Saying things like, you should eat better or stop wasting money, might seem helpful to you. But to others, it can feel like being scolded. And when people associate conversations with you as full of corrections or critiques, they'll slowly pull away. So what should you do instead? Wait until you're asked. If someone truly wants your advice, they'll ask for it. If they don't, it's often better to let them figure things out on their own. This doesn't mean you can never share your thoughts. It just means you should do so in a respectful way. A simple rule: ask before advising. For example, instead of saying, you shouldn't eat that, try asking, would you like to hear a few tips I've learned about healthy eating? If they say yes, share. If they say no, let it go. It's a small shift, but it can make a huge difference in how others perceive you. Remember, people don't reject advice because they don't care. They rejected it because they don't want to feel judgment. When your guidance comes from a place of respect, you become someone they trust, not someone they want to avoid. And hey, if you're still watching and found this part helpful, comment #2 below so I know you're here. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next videos. Your support helps us keep making content to inspire and support you. Number 3, refusing to adapt to change. The world is always changing. It always has and it always will. But one of the most common ways people isolate themselves as they age is by resisting change instead of adapting to it. It's understood. You've lived through decades of traditions and values, many of which seem to be fading away. But determined to accept that the world is evolving can make conversations with you feel more like a struggle than a connection. This can show up in different ways. Maybe you constantly say things were better back then, every time a younger person shares something they like. Maybe you criticize new technology or trends as useless, even though they're how most people connect these days. Or maybe you get irritated with shifting social norms that make it harder to relate to younger generations. Here's the truth. Change will keep happening, whether you... Number 4, expecting too much from others without giving back. One of the biggest sources of resentment in any relationship, whether it's with family, friends, or even neighbors, is when one person constantly takes without offering anything in return. Sadly, this kind of imbalance can become more common as people grow older, often without them even noticing. You may not mean to, but if you find yourself expecting others to always accommodate your needs, make time for you, or adjust their lives around yours, without showing equal consideration for them, it can gradually wear down the relationship. This can show up in many subtle ways. Maybe you expect your children or grandchildren to always be the ones to call you first, visit regularly, or run errands for you, but you rarely acknowledge their efforts or say thank you. Perhaps you rely heavily on a friend for emotional support but rarely ask how they're doing. Or maybe you assume that because you're older, your needs should always come first. After all, isn't that what family is for? Here's the issue. People don't mind helping. In fact, many are happy to do so when they feel appreciated. But when they begin to feel used or taken for granted, they naturally start to pull back. And when they do, it's easy to feel abandoned or unloved, not realizing that the root of the issue may have begun with unbalanced expectations. Of course, this doesn't mean you should never ask for help. You absolutely should reach out when you need it. But it's important to remember that relationships thrive on reciprocity. And even as you get older, you still have so much to give. A kind word, a sincere compliment, a listening ear. Small gestures go a long way. A quick message to say you're thinking of someone, reminds a birthday, or simply asking about someone's day shows that you care. These little things make people see, feel, and value, not just needed. So what should you do instead? Take a moment to reflect on your recent interactions. Are you mainly on the receiving end of effort, attention, or kindness? If so, look for simple ways to give back. You don't have to do anything grand. Sometimes just saying thank you, offering encouragement, or showing genuine interest in someone's life can completely shift how people feel about your presence. The bottom line? People are happy to be there for you when they feel respected and appreciated. But if they begin to feel like they're just checking off a responsibility, their enthusiasm and connection may fade. A little gratitude and effort can keep your relationship strong, warm, and deeply meaningful. If you've made it this far and found this point helpful, please comment # for below to let me know you're still here. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a new video. Number 5, talking too much about the past. Memories are powerful. They remind us of love, loss, life lessons, and all the beautiful and painful experiences that shaped who we are. But one common habit that can unintentionally alienate others is constantly living in the past. This often happens when most conversations start to revolve around the good old days. Maybe you find telling yourself the same stories again and again, or comparing everything now to how things used to be. It's understanding. Those memories bring comfort and meaning. But when people hear the same tales over and over, it can start to feel repetitive and distant. Younger people, in particular, might struggle to connect. Imagine how it feels when every time they talk about their own lives, they're met with "back in my day," or "you kids have it easy." Instead of feeling heard, they may feel dismissed, like their experiences aren't valid or as meaningful. Even your peers, friends around your age, may start to withdraw if they feel like you're stuck in a loop of nostalgia. Over time, conversations can become predictable and lose their spark. So what can you do? Balance is key. Share your stories, of course, they're part of who you are, but also shows genuine curiosity about what's happening now. Ask questions about other people's lives, listen with interest, and look for ways to connect in the present moment. And when you catch repeating yourself a memory, pause and ask, is this story adding something new to the conversation? Or am I just retreating into comfort? The past should enrich our present, not replace it. The takeaway: cherish your memories, but don't live entirely in them. People want to feel close to you today, not just the version of you from years ago. Stay present, stay curious, and you'll keep your relationships strong and relevant. Number 6. Ignoring boundaries and personal space. As we get older, it's natural to want deeper connection and more closeness with the people we love. But one of the most common and most damaging mistakes people make in their later years is unintentionally overstepping boundaries. Just because you're older doesn't mean your presence, opinions, or needs should always come first. Everyone, no matter their age, needs their personal space and autonomy to be respected. This can show up in several ways. Maybe you expect family members to answer the phone immediately every time you call, and feel hurt or angry when they don't. Perhaps you show up at someone's home without calling first, assuming they'll be happy to see you, even if they're busy. Or you might feel entitled to know private details of someone's life, like who they're dating or how they spend their money, without realizing that it's not your place. When people feel like their boundaries are constantly being crossed, they usually don't argue. They withdraw. They stop sharing. They stop inviting. And you may not realize that what feels like distance is really their way of protecting their space. In not just physical space, either emotional boundaries matter too. If you always share your struggles but never ask about theirs, or regularly vent without checking in on how they're doing, others may start to feel drained. Everyone is carrying something, and while sharing is healthy, overwhelming someone else with your problems, especially if it's constant, can push them away. So what's the solution? Be mindful. Pay attention to how people respond. If someone seems distant or hesitant, ask yourself if you're giving them enough breathing room. Respect when people say they're busy or need space, and don't take it personally. Ask permission before diving into sensitive topics. And when someone sets a boundary, whether it's about time, privacy, or conversation topics, honor it. The bottom line? Strong, lasting relationships are built on mutual respect. When people feel like their space, time, and emotions are valued, they're more open, more connected, and more willing to stay close to you. Not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. Final thoughts. Getting older doesn't mean you have to lose your connection with others. But sometimes, without meaning to, certain habits can create distance, and even resentment between you and the people who matter most. The good news? Once you become aware of these patterns, you can start making small shifts that have a big impact. Let's quickly review the 6 common behaviors that push people away after 65. 1. Constant negativity. 2. Giving unwanted advice. 3. Refusing to adapt to change. 4. Expecting too much without giving back. 5. Living in the past. 6. Ignoring boundaries. These aren't character flaws, they're habits. And habits can be changed. The moment you start shifting toward kindness, curiosity, gratitude, and mutual respect, your relationships begin to heal and flourish. Here's what to remember. People want to spend time with those who make them feel good, who uplift them, and who truly care. And no matter your age, you can be that person, starting today. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these points stood out the most? Have you experienced someone pulling away and now you finally understand why? Leave a comment below. I read every single one, and your thoughts might just help someone else on their journey too. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep creating content to inform and inspire you. See you in the next video.